Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Cool Colas here, and you're tuned into another cool video. I'm coming to you all today to talk about a topic that I find to be very interesting, but then again, I find every topic that I speak about to be pretty interesting. I guess that probably doesn't hold too much merit with y'all, but I wanted to talk to you all today about diversity and about what people would call multiculturalism and minorities and that representation as it pertains to TV shows, media, and writing. And I want to talk about what my feelings are on that, you know, and how I feel about that. Specifically, what I want to talk about is my concerns with it. So, wanted to get into that topic. For you guys so you can kind of get a perspective on the way that I kind of see things, I think about things and view things as it pertains to that, because obviously, in our world as of right now, that's a big thing for people in general. Won't say for everyone, but for the general public, that's like a big thing. So I kind of want to dive into that a little bit. So the one thing that I think ends up being a thing when you are a black writer, black producer, black media, anything, is that I think you get almost like an honorary, like, you gotta be an activist type of label when you're doing it. I think that tends to happen. Is like it's like almost expected that you would kind of like represent yourself or represent the need for like some form of diversity. So what I see a lot of people do nowadays, even if they are like into that type of thing, just from my perspective, is they talk about they literally do talk about like diversity. They don't talk about their own selves. So again, if you're a black person and you care about diversity, what does that look like and what does that mean? Because to me, you're not really projecting for your own people alone. You're projecting for this idea of what people call people of color. And so I think like what that means is that I think that there's always like a need for like what I would call seat at the tableism, where people feel that they have to black people have to like work hard or do certain things or make certain ways happen so that they can have things and enjoy things in the same way that white people generally like enjoy them. So in other words, when I say seat at the table, I'm talking about black people who want to be in high positions, black people who want to be like in politics, like a president or something like that, or a black version of fill in the blank, a black so and so, so like black doctors, black um, you know athletes, so on and so forth. So you got like just these different like accolades that black people think that back in the day black people weren't typically doing, but now it's something that shows that there's progress in our world. I think that happens a lot, and there's a big push for that. And if you are a black person, especially in media, there's this automatic like assumption that you have to be like, again, like a black revolutionary. Now I talked about that before in a different video, but just kind of on a different wavelength. I want to talk about now like my concerns around promoting diversity and whatnot, and how that works. So let's get straight to the point here when it comes to what the clear picture is. So the media is controlled by white people. That's not a secret. It shouldn't be a secret if it is a secret to you. It's controlled by white people. So typically when you see producers and those who create some of these television shows that you like watching, even some that are quote unquote black oriented, a lot of them are created by white people. And even the ones that are created by black people are created by black people who don't particularly have the proper knowledge itself to understand what's important, and from my perspective at least. So what that looks like for me is you'll see white people, especially like in and I'm gonna talk about them just because, like, although I'm like a big fan of a lot of these TV shows, I do see a lot of the issues that I think a lot of other people experience with them. Is the CW, I think, is a big network full of like TV shows where like this ends up being an issue. I see a lot of like those superhero shows like the Arrows, Flashes, Supergirl, especially Supergirl, stuff like that, where like you get these TV shows and like they talk about issues, like more so like hyper liberal issues, but diversity ends up being something that gets talked about. You know, the idea and the need for like people of color, and the idea that diversity has to be there. So in other words, like you ever notice like you watch a TV show sometimes and you'll see like a bunch of white characters. So it'll be like a white dude who's the main character, then he may have like a white girlfriend, and then like I'm just giving you an example here. There may be like two other main characters who are white. Then there'll be one main character who will be black, and then there'll be like one who's like white Hispanic. So it'll be like something like that. And most shows you'll see something of that dynamic, or like they'll try to throw you off and they'll put one main character as black and the other main character as white. Then all the other main characters that are around them are white, and then they'll sprinkle in again like somebody who's Asian here and put somebody who's Indian in here. So like I see that type of thing a lot, that type of dynamic. And automatically when I kind of see that, I kind of shake my head a little bit, because I say like, this is not what, you know, when black people talk about like being able to you know, put their own people on the map, they talk about literally putting their own people on their map, like having stories where there are just black people in it, like blacks, like authentic black stories where we're telling talking about authentic black people and only black people. Now, from my perspective, way I see it is, I think that my concern is that like a lot of this stuff happens because a lot of these people who are in media are white people. So they're white people who are telling black stories, or they may I guess like reel in black people without the proper knowledge itself to basically tell these black stories. And a lot of times they don't really like tell it appropriately. They're trying to promote this idea of, like I said, diversity, where like all people are being represented, not just black people, but also like some of these quote unquote people of color, like Asians and Hispanics. Again, I think, you know, everybody tries to, you know, throw that term around loosely. Some people will listen to this video and they're like, well, Nick, I don't really see, you know, an Asian or Hispanic as a person of color. I only see black people. I don't refer to black people as people of color. And see, that's the issue, is like the generalism of it. Just say black people, because blacks are specific people with specific issues, and they are exceptional, and they have never had the chance to be able to get the opportunities that you know, for progression of their culture and for enlightenment within their people, for their culture. Like we've never really gotten those opportunities. And I think when we call ourselves people of color, we like water down like what our specific issues are against like other people who are not considered white, you know, by by like a visual standpoint. So I don't want to get too much into that topic specifically. All I'm simply here to say is that my concern is that like there are too many black stories that are being told by white people. We need black people with the proper knowledge of self to be able to tell black stories. And I say that specifically because I don't mean any old black person who is a sellout or just tells a story because they want the clout or they want the money or whatever the case is. I mean like people who are going to tell authentic black stories that actually allow black people to be able to enjoy the kind of like special world that they've kind of built and the culture that they built and that they live in despite everything that they've been through. I think that's really what I want to do. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to have white people or whoever, you know, in my stories or as main characters, because I truly believe that part of like our mission as black people is to be able to understand the people who fear us and the people who are our enemies and things like that. And I think that that's very important, is to be able to understand that level of adversity by creating characters who actually show that and exemplify that. But again, I don't like feel the need to be the black like revolutionary. I feel the need to be able to tell authentic black stories and allow black people, other black people, even the space to be able to tell their stories as well. And that's what I'm hoping that this empire that I'm creating is going to be able to do. Whereas like you look at, again, like different like networks where like white people or black people totally without knowledge of self are telling like our stories, and then they're using every moment to either create trauma porn or they're creating every moment to basically showed that they are diverse. So now everybody loves them all of a sudden because they have some form of diversity, because they added some black dude in there who was like a side character who gets treated like crap, and then like a whole bunch of other white main characters. I mean, think about it. Like, going back to CW again, like when they had that big crossover, you know, where Oliver Queen died and all that. If you didn't see that, I'm sorry I spoiled it, but that's just what happened. Where Oliver Queen died, and like Black Lightning is one of the main shows out of like the Arrowverse, and he just wasn't even connected with that world. As a matter of fact, even in that special, I mean, he made an appearance, but he wasn't treated as special. Like, he wasn't in that final fight where they were fighting against the Anti-Monitor. Like, they had Batwoman in there. Batwoman was newer than Black Lightning. They had Batwoman in there. They had the Legends in there. They had Barry, like Flash, in there. They had Oliver in there, obviously. They had Kara in there from Supergirl. They had all that. And then Jefferson, who just wasn't part of that, but he's like a main character because there's Black Lightning. And I get that they probably wanted to keep that separate and make that special, or that may have been the idea. I really don't know. But I think for me, when I see something like that, I'm like, see, like, he kind of got the the I guess like the bitch treatment, for lack of better words, like that treatment of you're not really as special or as exceptional as any of these other shows to be like seen as a character who is worth being on the same lines of like a big time crossover. So I see stuff like that and I just kind of scratch my head, and I'm like, see, this is why we need our own stuff, is because like stuff like that kind of goes on. Or I see a lot of like pushing of stuff, like, you know, every time Black people turn on the TV, only thing that they see is a show that wants to show how like we're getting brutalized by the police, yet nobody is doing anything about it for real. And yes, that in my opinion, that does include like Black Lives Matter in this, because not a lot has really been like really truly like accomplished in like a big way. So I think like I say that to not even come against like the organization even in this video, but more so I'm saying that to say I think that we're subtly reminded all the time that that people need to see all the things that happen to Black people. And I think people are seeing it. I do. But I think that people have been ignoring it up until really the George Floyd thing. I think that people were probably like, you know, going about their day like it's a new day, and like pretending like that was the first time something really hateful happened. I saw all these white people who never cared about like racial injustices, or barely cared, like all of a sudden just like rant and rave like when, you know, the George Floyd situation happened, as if like there weren't other people like Tamir Rice, you know what I'm saying, and people like that, and Alton Sterling and Philando Castile, people like that who have been killed. So again, I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to get into a big political thing here. I'm just simply making the statement that what I typically see is a lot of trauma porn and a lot of storytelling that is supposed to be like inclusive, but not necessarily authentically for the benefit of Black people alone in authentic Black stories. That is what I've noticed over time, is that I don't get to see that. There's always got to be like a push for diversity, or a push for like how white people somehow are like not really like keen on this idea that like Black people are going through things, and then it's like some like weird message like every single time, and like it'll be like you have to watch like a whole episode of that, and it's like, you know, if I want to watch something on TV or I want to read something, like I don't want to have to like revisit the trauma that I experience every day that I go out into the world. Like again, like it's ridiculous. Like sometimes I just want to listen to a cool story. Like let the Black person be the astronaut. Let the Black person be like a superhero with lasers, like laser powers. Let the Black person ride the dragon in the sky. That's what I'm saying. That's the type of stuff that I want to write. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not going to ever write anything that I think that our people need to know. That I think that will empower them and help them to acquire that proper knowledge itself, to be able to, you know, understand their culture and who they are. But I'm just kind of just bringing to light what I think is an issue that I typically see in media and in writing. Anyway, I only got 15 minutes here, so I just want to say real quick, I appreciate anybody who watched this video and appreciated the message that I had to say. I'm gonna have a lot more videos to come, so feel free to keep checking out my IGTV. And that's about it. Anyways, I hope you all have a great day, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace.